In today's video, I'm actually on my my laptop. I just realized I got the wrong one up. Here we go. And we are going to talk about sleep, okay? And this is a very similar presentation that I do for my group live coaching calls. In case you didn't know, I do those. And so I thought I'd bring you along, obviously not to a live call because that would break our confidentiality agreement. But I definitely want to educate you guys a little bit and get you guys to know my nerdy side in a sense. So let's get right to it because I don't want this video to be too long. The science of sleep, unlocking your body's secret weapon for weight loss, muscle mass gain, and hormonal health. All right, so sleep deserves a lot more respect than we give it, okay? We will look at nutrition and training all day, but we won't look at the boring stuff like our hydration, which is really important. For women, their menstrual cycle, even men, their testosterone levels and other blood parameters, along with sleep. Sleep seems so boring, so like, yeah, whatever. And the reason is because we're asleep, okay? So we don't realize the effect it's having on us. However, sleep is just as important as nutrition, just as important as training. It is just as important as how much money you make or, you know, the care that you have for your kids. Sleep is literally one of the biggest things that will determine your longevity. Add years onto your life or take years off. So sleep isn't just a reset. It is a biological reset button, okay? So sleep isn't just rest. It's a biological reset button. It impacts every major function, our metabolism, muscle repair, hunger signals, stress, hormone balance, blah, blah, blah. So if you're not sleeping well, your results will always feel so much harder than they need to be. Your recovery, your training, your weight loss, everything is going to be so much harder if you don't sleep well. On the contrary, if you sleep great, your body is going to be so much more responsive to the things that you're eating and the exercise that you are doing. So what happens during your sleep? Very simple breakdown. We have stage 1, stage 2, and stage 3, and then also our REM sleep. So stage 1, which is N1, which is the yellow on the right-hand side of the diagram, is your light sleep, okay? Which is where your body starts to relax. You're like drifting off to sleep. You're not fully asleep though, but you're also not fully awake. Then we have our N2, which is a little bit deeper, but it's still light. Then we have our N3, which is our deep sleep, which is for physical recovery, muscle growth, and our immune system resets as well. So if you constantly get sick or you just think you have a really weak immune system, maybe you're just not sleeping well. Fourth one is your vivid dreaming REM sleep. So REM sleep, REM, rapid eye movement. Basically, when your eyes are shut, your eyes actually flicker. Okay, and that's why it's called rapid eye movement, obviously with your eyelids closed. And this is where your brain and emotional processing occurs along with memory consolidation. So when I was at uni, I used to read stuff right before I went to bed, like stuff that I wanted to memorize because I knew once I go to sleep, then it's going to stay in my brain really well and I'll consolidate the memory of whatever I had to memorize. So growth hormone is released during your deep sleep and your cortisol levels lower, allowing for recovery and fat burning. So there's a lot of hormones in our body, okay? Growth hormone isn't the only one that we, could talk about, but to keep it simple, growth hormone is something that we are going to focus on today. Like majority of other hormones, you can get them as steroid injections. So GH is something, growth hormone is something that people do inject, but it's something that our bodies naturally create. And usually when people aren't creating enough and therefore they're struggling to grow muscle and things like that, maybe they're just not sleeping well enough, okay? Sleep and weight loss. So when sleep is short, there's a lot of hormones that are impacted, but we're going to just talk about 4 to keep it really simple. One is your ghrelin, which is your hunger hormone. If you don't sleep well, your hunger hormone goes up. Leptin, which is your satiety hormone, so that feeling of being satiated and actually full after eating meals. If you don't sleep well, that hormone goes up as well. Cortisol goes up as well if you don't sleep well, which is your stress hormone, and insulin sensitivity goes down, meaning that you will struggle to burn fat, okay? So this is why it's so important. Despite your effort in the gym, steps, nutrition, whatever. If you're not sleeping well, you're making it so much harder for yourself. There's also a study to back all of this up. Plenty of studies, but I thought I'd pop one in here. People who slept 5.5 hours lost 60% more muscle and 55% less fat compared to those who slept 8.5 hours on the same diet. 60% more muscle and 55 less percent of fat. Those are huge percentages, all right? Sleep and muscle recovery. So this is where we're going to talk about growth hormone. Growth hormone is like your body's natural anabolic steroid, okay? And it is released in a very high dosage when you are asleep. You can see in the diagram on the right, there's a huge spike of growth hormone, that thick black line, in your first hour to 2 hours of like you're genuinely asleep, okay? And then it goes down, and there's a little bit in the afternoon, but midday to afternoon, but not really much, okay? Not in comparison to what you get when you're in your deep sleep. So this is where all of the micro tears essentially grow more muscle fibers. So when you're training in the gym or you're doing some sort of resistance training, what's actually happening is your muscle fibers are being broken down. They're actually tearing, okay? It's like if I could tear my hair apart, which I'm not gonna do, that's what's happening to your muscles when you're training. People think they're growing their muscles when they're training. No, you're not. You're tearing all the muscle fibers down. And inflammation and the excess blood flow is what gives you that pump, which makes you think your muscles are growing, but they're not. They actually grow in the recovery after that stimulus, okay? So poor sleep essentially equates to slower recovery, weaker workouts, meaning your performance the next day at the gym isn't going to be as good, and an increased delayed onset muscle soreness. So that's also known as DOMS. Essentially what it is you feel sore for not just like 1 day or 2 days, you feel sore for like 5 or 7 days. And usually that's a parameter of you didn't recover well, okay? So if you want better strength, better tone, better recovery, prioritize your sleep quality as you do with your nutrition, as you do with protein. You prioritize your protein, I'm sure. You prioritize your workouts, great. Prioritize your sleep as well. We're gonna do 1 to 2 more slides because I don't want to give this all away for free. Sleep and metabolism. So sleep regulates also your thyroid hormone, which is located here. You could break it down to 2, which is T3, T4. All you need to understand is that chronic sleep deprivation, it will also create thyroid hormonal imbalances. So you can have an underactive thyroid or an overactive thyroid. We don't want either. We want just a normal balanced thyroid. So if you don't sleep well, your BMR goes down, your basal metabolic rate, which is, how many calories your body burns at rest, meaning your just natural caloric burn to stay alive is going to be dropped, which is really significant for people who are trying to lose weight and lose fat. And your fat storage naturally goes up, particularly around the belly, because the body thinks it needs to protect itself, and our most precious organs, other than our brain, are within our abdominal area. And our organs that aren't within our chest cavity, they have no skeletal structure to protect them. So it's a natural survival mechanism from evolution. That's why. Thirdly, it disrupts your glucose metabolism. So when you eat sugar, any sort of carbohydrate, whether that's healthy or unhealthy, your metabolism breaks that down and uses it for energy. However, if you don't sleep well, that process of breaking sugar down doesn't work as well, which will also lead to fat storage. So weight plateaus are really often tied to poor sleep. Like if one of my clients' weights all of a sudden plateaus, there's a lot of questions I will ask, and there's, this deep weekly check-in questionnaire that they do. But I'll also ask them, how's your sleep been? There's also questions about sleep every week, but that can be a contributing factor. So sleep and hormones, both men and women. Ooh, I don't know how much more battery my camera's got. Women, really quickly. So two hormones that we think about as a woman, estrogen and progesterone. There are more hormones, okay? But we are going to focus on just these two to keep it very simple. Remember, women have testosterone and men also have testosterone, and sometimes women have low levels of testosterone. And also sometimes men have low levels of testosterone. Sometimes men have high levels of estrogen. So yeah, just keep that in mind. Firstly, when you don't sleep well as a woman, you're more sensitive to the estrogen and progesterone fluctuations that just naturally occur given your menstrual cycle, right? So these are normal fluctuations. However, but your body is more sensitive to it when you don't sleep as well, meaning that your PMS, your premenstrual symptoms, your bloating is going to be worse, your mood swings are going to be worse. It will reduce your fertility as well. It will make your ovulation period, which is where you feel great, even shorter, which sucks. We don't want to shorten our ovulation period. And cravings will increase, and there's a higher chance of emotional eating. Remember, progesterone is your calming hormone. We love progesterone. I love it. It's such a great hormone for women. So when your sleep is low or your sleep suffers, anxiety rises because your progesterone is affected, meaning that your progesterone levels will decrease no matter what stage you're at. It will just decrease to what it usually is at, and therefore you won't have such a calming feeling within your body. And you can see on the diagram on the right how that is affected. But I want to get onto the men really, really quickly. Testosterone. So, obviously testosterone is produced whilst you sleep for both men and women, but men obviously have higher needs of testosterone in comparison to women. Just one night's sleep of less than 5 hours of sleep, testosterone is lowered by 10 to 15%. That's a lot. Okay? So please sleep for more than 5 hours, but if you can only get 5 hours, at least make sure it's really great quality sleep. So it's not just about the hours, it's also about the quality, of course. Low testosterone, less energy, less muscle synthesis, meaning no matter how hard you train in the gym, probably not going to grow much muscle. Lower libido, so a lower sex drive, and just more body fat retention as well. So just remember, for men, deep sleep is like your natural. I just want to quickly finish off the video here. I was rushing so much, but it's good because also then the video isn't too long for you. Deep sleep for men is like your natural testosterone boost, okay? And you can see on the diagram on the right how the lesser hours of sleep reduces your free testosterone, which is the level of testosterone just floating around within you, essentially. And when you increase your hours, it goes up as well. Now, you'll see this line as well on the top of each little gray box or rectangle, sorry. Remember, there's like a bit of leeway here because it's also about the quality of your sleep. So some people could sleep for 5 hours but get really good sleep and therefore produce like 11.0 of free testosterone. However, someone might, sleep for, almost 8 hours, right? But it's not so good quality sleep, but because it's more hours, it equates to the same amount of free testosterone production. So, there's a little bit of variability there. That's what the extra line means, because it can vary a bit dependent on how good of a quality sleep you got. Did you get disturbed? Did you get really good REM sleep? Did you go through proper sleep cycles, etc.? So to finish off here really quickly, a few things that you can do is to stick to a very strict sleep schedule. No caffeine after 2 p.m. I personally don't have any caffeine after 12 p.m. That's my personal block off time, but I also only have one coffee and caffeine substance per day, which is very early in the morning anyway. I have a wind down ritual. I encourage you to do that. Low light, stretch, read, no screens, use blue light glasses, all that stuff that you should do. Keep your room dark and cool and quiet. Your body has to drop between 1 to 3 degrees over core temperature to fall asleep. So make sure your room is cool, but not too cold, of course. And everyone's, temperature is a bit different. But make sure it is cool, and you'll learn what works for you after trial and error. Supplements, there's supplements that you can take: magnesium glycinate, GABA, herbal teas, or melatonin. And also, to finish off here, I encourage you to track your sleep and look at your sleep. the next day. Because when we track stuff, we're more intuitive. And maybe you realize, oh my goodness, I get really bad sleep, or, I get really good sleep when I do this. And you're so much more intuitive. So track your sleep. That's my biggest pointer to take away from this video. There's plenty of watches that do that for us. But that's it for today's video, guys. If you did want to book in a call with me to have a chat about your weight loss health journey, then you can book below using the link, but only do it, of course, if you're genuinely interested. I don't want to waste my time, of course. So you can book if you are genuinely interested. Other than that, I'll see you in the next video. Bye.